Okay, let's dive in. We are really getting into some dense stuff today. We've got these transcript excerpts from the source Good and Evil.
Hmm.
It's, well, it's highly metaphorical, really personal. Our job here is to kind of pull apart the layers, get to the core insights about, duality, crossing lines, and the cultural context. And what hits you immediately, right, is that the source doesn't really ask if good and evil exist. It just states it. Like, boom. That sets the whole tone. It's saying this duality, this conflict, that's just the reality of the world being described here.
Exactly. It's less like a straightforward memoir and maybe more like a philosophical warning sign almost. Sent back from someone who's been there, the narrators lived it, and now they're mapping out the reality they found. It's very much about, okay, you head down this path, there will be consequences baked right into the language. There's a real sense of inevitability.
Yeah, that fatalism. You see it right away in that first quote we pulled out. Go looking for a wave. Don't be mad at sink your boat. I mean, that's such a sharp way to put it, isn't it? Accountability, you chose the danger, you deal with the fallout.
And the cost of that choice is huge. It comes right after with that line that just anchors everything. There's no coming back from the innocence we broke. So the whole story, everything we're hearing, it's told from that place, after the fact. The line's been crossed permanently.
Okay, so let's follow that journey then. This first segment, it really focuses on that dangerous path. And it's not just about the choices, but the physical, the psychological costs. It sounds absolutely draining, like a war within himself. We get these really visceral images, don't we? The cold sweat soaking the sheets. But then there are these phrases, very specific, almost coded, like being tangled in the beats. He says, tangle beats I mango back in '02. What's that about?
Right. Okay. So that line tangle beats I mango back in '02. But we should probably clarify that a bit. It's almost certainly specific slang or code from that time, maybe early 2000s. It could be linked to music production, the struggle there, or maybe even, a method within the drug trade. The point is, it signifies that deep immersion, that grind.
Ah, okay. So it's a timestamp, not just a memory, but like this is how deep in the struggle I was back then.
Precisely. And that struggle gets linked directly to self-destruction with ambition and the Coke flu.
Yeah.
That phrase is just devastating, isn't it? It reframes ambition. It's not drive. It's a sickness, fueled by the hustle, the drugs, pushing him towards, well, disaster.
So the source is giving this raw report, almost like field notes from the lifestyles of the dangerous. It's documentation, not just philosophy. But, listen to this. I have to ask, when he documents all this, the pharmacy, the robbery, the mind of a criminal, is there a risk? Does it start to sound, I don't know, a little bit romanticized, even if that's not the intent?
That's a really important point. The line between documenting and maybe accidentally glamorizing something, I think the source tries hard to steer clear of that, mainly by hammering home the consequences. It's not about the thrill as much as the price. And grounding it historically helps too, like that reference to having the biggest knives you've ever seen in '95. Pinpointing the year, that specific brutal image, it makes it concrete. It anchors the later consequences, makes them feel earned, almost inevitable from that point.
Okay, yeah, I see that. The violence happened then, but the dread, the feeling of doom that feels current in the telling. He talks about seeing the bad moon rise, classic omen, right? It suggests he kind of knew, even back then, that the choices made were locking in a terrible future.
Absolutely. And that feeling, that dread, it shifts from just personal fear to something bigger, something public, like a disaster you can't avoid. When he gets to the outcome, gather around is raining, red bloodshed rages, it's contagious. That's powerful imagery. The violence wasn't just his problem. It spilled out. It infected everything around him, the whole community, like a disease.
So if that first part is about the personal cost, the sort of infection of violence on an individual level, Segment 2 seems to zoom out, right, to look at the system itself, the culture that's infected. He shifts roles here from participant to observer.
Yeah, he becomes more of a critic.
And he does start by acknowledging the good stuff. He mentions witnessing the renaissance of the culture. He sees the creativity, the explosion happening. But then almost in the same breath, he points to these, dark forces working against it.
And this is where the critique gets really sharp, really complex. He drops that line, which is just,
Wow.
that dope responsible for putting bullets in goats. That's not just an offhand comment. It feels like a direct accusation that the drug trade, or maybe drugs themselves, are literally killing off the best and brightest, the leaders, the talented ones, the goats, who rise up but get taken down by the very environment they came from.
Wow, so it connects his personal Coke flu thing to something systemic.
Exactly. It's like saying this destructive force, the dope, is almost being used against the community's potential heroes.
Yeah.
Weaponized.
And he talks about deception too, right? That the people running things are trying to put the wool over both of your eyes to your skull while you mull over hope. That image is chilling. Not just fooling you, but blinding you so completely that even hope gets suffocated.
It's incredibly bleak.
And the real tragedy, the kicker, is that he admits he was part of it. He gives that raw confession, I have been a fiend, and he connects it to aspiration, the robberies and schemes for what we would aspire to. He was chasing the dream, but the methods were part of the very corruption he's now calling out.
That's the painful irony, isn't it? The same drive, the ambition that maybe fueled the good parts, the Renaissance, also fueled the crime that destroyed people. He nails it when he says, our heroes were killing us, we took what we wanted to, it winded up killing us dead.
God, that line. Our heroes were killing us. It just perfectly sums up that poisoned aspiration. The role models, the ones who made it, quote-unquote, within that dangerous world, they were leading others down a path to destruction. The success model was the poison.
Right. It wasn't necessarily outside forces bringing them down. It was chasing their own warped idea of success that proved fatal.
It makes you really question, what does success even mean in that kind of environment?
If the mentors are lethal, the whole structure seems designed to just consume its own. A feedback loop of destruction.
Which I guess leads us into the third part, identity, longevity, duality. Because after all this destruction, this loss, this systemic poison, the narrator steps back and asserts his survival. He marks this point in time a 20-year milestone.
Yeah, that's a powerful shift.
He says, 20 years ago when I had started on the Odyssey, it lands hard because it tells you he didn't just survive 95 or the hustle of '02. He made it through 2 decades of this.
And that survival allows for a transformation. He moves from listing crimes to listing these new roles. The poet, the prophet, deity, the oddity. It's like he's saying he managed to turn all that darkness, that dangerous past, into something else, something lasting. Art, maybe? Wisdom?
Yeah, something meaningful.
And he backs it up with that line. I'm standing on business. This is the commodity. It feels like a declaration. His business isn't crime anymore. The commodity is the truth he's sharing, the art that came from surviving it all. That artistic identity becomes the proof he endured.
But crucially, the source doesn't let him off the hook, does it? Even after 20 years, even with this new identity, the core conflict, that good versus evil thing from the very beginning, it's still raging. It's not over.
Got all.
You get that final, really potent image of a spiritual battlefield. Demons around me, they lost for blood on one side.
And then angels are with me on the other.
Yeah.
So the war is ongoing, inside and out.
That really brings it full circle, doesn't it? The good and evil isn't just a theme he's exploring. It's his lived realities still.
Exactly. The consequences from segment 1, that life, it created this permanent state of spiritual conflict. His current status doesn't erase that. It just maybe gives him different allies.
And the reason for it all. When you look for some grand explanation for why this fight never ends, he just gives you, it's us versus them just because.
Just because.
No deeper justification needed. It's elemental, primal.
It's stark.
So, wrapping this up for you listening, what do we take away? This material, it feels like a really profound meditation on survival. Life isn't shown as this neat story where good triumphs. It's a constant battle, a negotiation with these opposing forces, outside corruption, internal demons, ambition, all of it. He says he's had to live so many lives, it's in between eyes. You feel the weight of that history, all that trauma and striving, and somehow rebirth packed into this intense reflection.
And it leaves us, I think, with a really interesting final thought to chew on. After laying out decades of violence, crime, brokenness, being surrounded by these demons, the narrator then says, "Third time's the charmer, my karma must be good." So the question for you is, given everything else he's told us, what kind of good karma is he talking about? What does that phrase even mean in the context of this life story? How does survival itself, maybe even creative success after all that, square with the traditional idea of karma? Something to think about.